Hello, 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 and good morning. This is Mr. Melendez, and I am giving you a live video of today's lesson topic. Lesson topic 5.8, the atomic bomb, part 1. So, just so you know what's going on, we come to a time frame right before the war that President Roosevelt is elected, and he is one of the only presidents in our history that actually serves 4 terms. All right, almost 12 years he is in office. And he is president when Japan, back in December 7th, 1941, bombs Pearl Harbor. And a couple of days later, he does his very famous This Day Will Live in Infamy speech. And you guys had a lesson previously um, before this one. We come to a point, unfortunately, that because of his disability, he succumbs to his disability and President Roosevelt passes away. And now President Truman um, becomes president and immediately has to make a big decision on what how to end the war with Japan. What he does is that he turns to his advisors. He needs advice on how to end the war with Japan because one option that he has is to use an atomic bomb and drop it on Japan in order to force Japan to surrender. But before he does that, he wants advice from his top advisor. So, what is an advisor? So, an advisor is basically a person who gives advice in a particular field. And when I mention particular field, this person is normally somewhat of has a deeper understanding or knowledge. This person is a resident expert in that particular field. So when the president talks to his top advisors, he usually has advisors that are resident experts in, like, let's say, the military or in education or maybe foreign policy. And he relies on these individuals to give him the best possible advice because the president has to ultimately make a decision and help the country move forward. In this particular scenario, President Truman has to make a decision whether or not he's going to use the atomic bomb on Japan. So this is where you come in. You are going to be President Truman's top advisor, and you're going to advise him on whether or not Truman should use the atomic bomb. When you open up the Google Doc, you're going to go down and you're going to see this particular graphic organizer that I printed for you. All right. And in this one, you have off to the side 4 particular scenarios, and you're going to advise President Truman on all 4 of them. So, for example, in your first column is going to say that you want to use troops to invade Japan. And you have 2 columns, one that says advantages and the other one that says disadvantages. Advantages and disadvantages are like pros and cons, or what's going to be good about that decision and what's going to be bad about that decision. So think of it like this. If I'm going to advise President Truman that he should send millions of troops into the island of Japan and try to force the Japanese to surrender, the advantage of doing that might be that having a presence in the island would maybe scare the Japanese into surrendering. That way, no one gets hurt. A disadvantage or a bad thing that might happen is that fighting does start, and unfortunately, thousands of people will be killed. That would be an example of an advantage and a disadvantage for that particular scenario. So go ahead and on your graphic organizer, you have other scenarios, read them through and provide advantages and disadvantages for each. At the bottom of the graphic organizer, there is a spot that says other. This is your opportunity to come up with your very own advice that you would give to President Truman, and then list the advantages and disadvantages for that particular advice. If that part is optional, if you don't have any kind of advice to give President Truman, that is fine. But make sure that you fill out the rest of the graphic organizer. Okay? There is a separate YouTube video that is strictly for the read aloud portion of the document. Okay, that video is also optional, but I would advise you, haha, using the word, I would advise you to actually play that video and have it play in the background while you are reading and analyzing the document. Reading and analyzing the document is important because you need to do that first before you fill out the graphic organizer. And that is it. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. This is Mr. Melendez. I am punching out. Have a good day.